Welcome to ConciergeQ Conversations with Chantal Westerman.
Hello, I'm Chantal Westerman, and welcome to ConciergeQ, the online travel magazine where you'll find the best travel information and all you want to know about wherever you're going. And one of the ways we do that is right here with ConciergeQ Conversations. ConciergeQ Conversations are intimate travel portraits with fascinating people from all around the world, especially who we're talking to today, by the way. We like to think of them as our local travel experts in the know. Please remember, you can always follow along with us at ConciergeQ.com. Today, we are talking to someone I've known and loved for a long, long time. She was born in New Jersey to a big band leader and saxophonist, Teddy Hill, and popular 1940s R&B soul singer Bonnie Davis. It wasn't long before the now legendary singer and stage actress Melba Moore first starred on Broadway. Melba began her performing career in 1967 as Dionne in the original cast of the musical Hair. Do you remember that? I certainly do. Becoming the first African-American woman to replace a white actress who at that time happened to be a young Diane Keaton. And then only a year and a half later, she starred in Purlie. And by the by, I was in the audience. And there she won her Tony Award for her featured portrayal as the beloved Lutiebelle. A four-time Grammy-nominated artist, including a nod for Best New Artist of 1971, in a distinguished group of her peers that year. And take a look at who was in that group, by the way: the Carpenters, Anne Murray, the Partridge Family, and Elton John. Melba then went on to make two #1 R&B hits, including the duet, A Little Bit More, with Freddie Jackson. And then, of course, there's her anthem, This Is It, which made it to the Billboard Hot Top 20. Then Melba, as if that's not enough, returned to Broadway in 1995 in the role of Fantine in Les Miserables, the very first, in fact, African-American actress to step into that role. And today, she can still be found in the studio and recently performed, boy, I wish I'd been there, an exclusive 2-week engagement at New York City's iconic Carlyle Hotel. Her new single is called Love Is, and you can find it on iTunes. And before we even talk to her, why don't you take a listen to Love Is? I've listened to it for the last 3 days, and I love it. So here's just a taste. You see what I mean? And with that, I say, hello, Melba Moore.
Hi there, Chantal. You sound wonderful.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's high praise coming from you. I can hardly believe that I'm talking to you, and I actually was in the audience. I was 25 years old, and it was my first visit to New York, and the show I saw was Purlie.
Wow. That was an exciting time. People, ask me, how important it was how important was the Tony Award and everything? Because back in those days, I really had not even heard of the Tony Award, but I can really appreciate it today because of people like you and me who remember how exciting it was, and because of that, still gives me a career. And I'm just amazed the longer I live how important it was, because it was exciting and it wasn't fun, but it was important to have a Tony Award, especially for an African-American young woman. Meant a lot of doors were opened for me in television, in theater later, in recordings later. It really opened so many doors.
Well, for me, being there with you, I do relate, and I think that's a wonderful observation you make, that the longer we are on this planet, the more important it comes. It's it's like looking back at Woodstock. That was history. Right. Tell me a little bit about your impressions, since we are a travel site, of New York back then.
I was born in New York, so I'm sighing because whatever it is I blame New York City, because my mother married my stepfather, who lived in Newark, New Jersey. That's when I moved there at 9 years old. And I love Newark because it gave me Arts High, which is like the New York City's music and art school, and I got the rest of my education there. And I had a family there, and I became a school teacher of music there. But New York City is where I got the bug to be in the arts. And now when I was a child, all I really knew, especially as an African-American child, was R&B music and blues music, which, well, I could just sigh and fall out like I went to heaven just with that, with all the wonderful music that we had to grow up around. If you talk about jazz or gospel or blues music. But then New York City was where I discovered the Broadway theater, because I never gone to theater because my mother was a singer. But I started out as a backup singer with people like Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson just by accident. And that's how I got my first Broadway show and got into theater and knew that, yes, I am a real New Yorker.
That's always a great question because to know when you are a New Yorker and to know when you are a New York talent is a real turning point in people's career. I often ask people, when did you know you were good?
Are you asking me that?
I certainly am.
I still don't know that. I'm working real hard, but I think that's part of the energy of a New Yorker because we're always inventing ourselves. We have to be the place where people come to make their dreams come true. And the dream doesn't stay the same. It gets old and you have to have a new generation, and the older generation has to stay relevant. So we keep getting better.
I love Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson. What were they like to work with? Were they your mentors? They were so good.
They were my mentors, although I think actually they may be a few years younger than me, but they were bright. They were geniuses at what they do. Valerie is a great business person. She just always has been. Some people just have it when they're born. She was a great songwriter. She was cute. She was good looking. She was fun. And to be in the studio singing with them, first of all, I thought I was going to be stuck being a teacher. I loved it, but it's not what my heart wanted to do. And it was a place where I could use my skills of reading music, but we also improvised. A lot of times we would be on records with, real hardcore blues or R&B artists, and we were requested to make up the parts and, just ad lib. So we did that. That was a lot of fun. And we were so good. We had so much work until sometimes we were just so tired. If you don't love what you do and you're tired, you're going to be grumpy. But we were so tired, we'd get silly.
I know the feeling. What was I don't even know how I want to phrase this question, but I know there's an answer somewhere within your heart and soul. The energy of New York at that time when you were doing Purlie, just the energy of Broadway, maybe is what I should say.
But you know what to
was
me?
That like?
Chantal, that's the thing that stays the same about New York, and I think that's because it's always reinventing, and it's like the rivers, and of course we're an island, that it always has to keep flowing. It can't stay stagnant. So one thing that stays constant about New York and why it continues to be the center of tourism and art and culture as well as business is that there is an energy that is, I think, a gift from God that the weather, where it's located, it continues to circulate. That's the one, and because of that, it stays the same.
In your new song called Love Is, there is a line that says, because of love, I can do anything. Because of love, I've been set free.
Yes.
And I think that is very much your story.
Yes.
I believe that love carries us through a lot. And I don't think we're really true artists until we've gone through difficult times and been carried through. What are some difficult times in your life that love has carried you through to bring you to this success and to this very interview today that you've survived?
Well, I think you hear that in the song because of how it came about. My ex-husband and I have been estranged for close to 14 years now, and we had a mutual friend pass away last summer, and my daughter said to me that I had been invited by the family to come to the ceremony, and I said yes. She said, well, do you mind if Dad is there? I said, well, no. She said, well, do you mind if we sit together? I said, no. Well, I had forgiven him But I didn't allow him to speak to me because I felt like he was manipulative and he would drag my daughter down, and a lot of different reasons why I thought we should just, for peace sake, not have any conversations or anything to do with each other. But I wasn't angry with him. So to make a long story a little shorter, we sat in the same row, and I was holding my daughter's hand. He reached over, and out of nowhere, in the going home ceremony for a mutual friend, said, "Would you please forgive me for everything I've done to you?" So my daughter and I sat there, were just quietly stunned with our mouths hanging open. And of course I said yes. And then later on she told me that she and he talked about me many, many times, and they had this song for me that they thought was really me. In other words, even my worst enemy, my ex-husband, thinks that I am love. And that they would want me to sing this, but I wouldn't allow him to speak to me, so she couldn't bring it to me. And I said, okay, well, let me hear the song. And that's how this project began. So it came out of forgiveness, because I've been through hell because of him. I've lost everything, including my child, because of him. But God said in my heart, let that go, shut it down. And because he did, I believe that this song embodies that.
So you're saying that the song Love Is came to you from your husband who caused you so much heartache.
At a funeral, because I'm sure all of us sat there and realized in our stunnedness that life is short and fragile, and you must not waste the time hurting each other.
That is the most amazing story. There's so much power to forgiveness, isn't there?
Absolutely. And it's so difficult for us to understand it unless we've really been hurt by somebody, and they're sitting right next to you, and somehow you have the gift of forgiveness, and you really experience it. It's gone. All that horror is shut down. It's finished. That's how powerful it is. And you have a child. You know, both parents, however stupid they are, want the best for their child. And all of a sudden, right there at someone's funeral, there's our gift of love right there in front of us, made whole again, just in that moment.
That's the most amazing story I've heard in a long time, because one of the things I hear you saying also is that forgiveness isn't just about saying, okay, you're forgiven, I'm done. It's really being over it, really letting it go.
Right.
Really forgiving. Well, good for you. I just think that's remarkable.
I think that when that happens, it's going to show in the power of your life. And I think that's what you hear in the song before you even ask me. You know, I don't have to tell you. It's there.
You know, it's interesting. I'm just thinking back to the first time when I saw you sitting in that big chair on Broadway, singing. You looked so tiny in that little chair, singing that song, I've Got Love. And even there, Melba, when you sang, I am safe and sound because I've got love. It's ruled your life.
Where it began for me, Chantal, for me to know that was the case, even not knowing what it was, because you were an artist, you're a performer, and there is a spirit or a presence or a power that comes through you when you're doing what you do that tells you things. And that's what I was experiencing then, what love really is. Especially, I wasn't an actor, so I was experiencing what was happening as a result of doing this between me and the audience. And that's what it was. I'm sure that's why the song was written. They wrote it because it was a love song that fit the show. But that's why it came alive like that, because it has a life of its own.
Oh, it does. It does. It's everywhere, you know. You can just hit a button on Google and there it is. It's so great to see it over and over again. When you're in New York and you want to go get something to eat after a show, where do you go?
Well, there's a wonderful restaurant called Le Petit Goût. It's a French restaurant, and it's way over on the east side, I think like on 2nd Avenue. And I've been going there for years and years and years, and I love all their food, but I especially love their lamb.
Le Petit Goût?
Le Petit Goût.
Le Petit Goût. Okay. In describing New York City, what's your favorite word? You can have more than one, actually, but how do you describe New York City?
Oh, in one word? I'm going to have to make up a word. Think of this as one word. Ginormous, great, beautiful.
That's perfect. Ginormous, great, beautiful.
That's one word.
I love it. I hear it. What is the word that best reflects the people of your New York City?
Dreamers, visionaries.
Nice. This is one that I'm very interested to hear you answer. What is the most creative, spiritual, or emotional place in your New York City?
St. Francis of Assisi.
Why?
It always puts your heart, and of course, every Catholic church is a beautiful art museum. So you look at pictures of heaven, different activities that are going on, and put yourself in those places. Well, I could say, the beautiful museums that we have in New York are just outrageous.
Oh, they're gorgeous, aren't they?
Amazing.
What's your favorite museum? What do you like to wander through?
That's not part of my activity, because I tell you what I am. If my vocation weren't singing and acting, I would probably be a nun. I'd be your Mother Teresa, because what I do is, I'm a born-again Christian, and that's really what I do. So that's my daily activity.
You know what I do when I travel to Italy or anywhere? I always visit the convents, so I get you.
That's the word I was trying to think of, but since I'm a lay person, I couldn't
it's the convents.
Think of it.
It's the convents.
Convents, yes. And when I get the time, I'm going to, visit some of the wonderful cathedrals and shrines and convents around the world, because that's really what I do.
Yeah, well, I'll go with you on that trip.
Beautiful.
What's your favorite outdoor activity in New York?
Well, I'd like to get the time to when I do. I'm going to go back to Central Park and skate some more. I like to skate. Excuse me, rollerblade.
Rollerblade.
I was showing how old I am, right?
I would have said skate too, and I got it. Rollerblade. And what's your favorite indoor activity in New York City?
Eating. Well, I guess, theater. And I've got to get a chance to get to see some of the more recent plays, too.
Yeah, do you want to see War Horse?
Absolutely.
I'm dying to see War Horse and the Book of Mormon.
I want to see some of the current, I'll call them black musicals, like Memphis and Baby It's You, and because now enough time has passed so that some of our what used to be contemporary music is old enough to be in theater musicals.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's important that you talk about that, Melba. It's very important that you talk about that, because that's really true. What other shows are there out there that you'd recommend people see? I mean, this is important. People are listening to this and taking your advice.
Well, I haven't seen the show, so I don't want to recommend them that way, but go online and find out what the shows are, because there's lots of great musicals out there. And before we had Hairspray that really kind of promoted the music of that era and that culture. But one of the things that's great about America, we are multicultural. We talk about crossover, but that kind of dates it back to a time when they were separated. Now we have a variety and almost a plethora of categories of music that have become classic. So I don't want to tell you what to go see, because you got country, you got R&B, you got straight up, standard Broadway style music. They continue to be reproduced again. The hair is up again. There's this point. Go online and see what you want to see. I won't recommend it, because there's just a lot of variety, much more variety than there was before.
Yeah. Well, I was liking your thoughts on the black music that's coming back to Broadway. I just think that's wonderful.
Right. Well, recently there was Fela, so that we had Caribbean and African influenced music. So there's really a wonderful variety available to us now.
I saw that. Weren't the costumes outrageous?
Yes.
Unbelievable. What is your favorite sound or your favorite noise in New York City?
Sound or noise? I walk the streets in New York a lot, so, some people, they get annoyed by the traffic sounds. I adore the traffic sounds, because I'm always amazed at how the people who organize the metro system and the trucks and the buses, we move millions of people a day, peacefully, joyfully. Sometimes we're packed in subways like sardines, and we still give each other respect for personal space. I think this is amazing. I think that big cities need a lot of people, so you don't get angry with that. I think that's a beautiful sound. It's like the hum of the city. I love that.
Yeah, it's the heartbeat of the city, isn't it, really?
It's the heartbeat of the city. And I enjoy moving. I guess, I've been there for so long. Even when I've lived in Jersey, I spent all my time in New York, moving through the people, and even the homeless and the handicapped. They get great respect and awareness there. I mean, sometimes you got to, if you're going to take a bus or maybe a bus, you got to wait a minute until they put that thing down there so the the wheelchair can get up and get in its place. And sometimes you may, I remember I had an accident and it hurt my ankle or something. Then for the first time, I paid attention to all the people that were on canes and wheelchairs. New York is a very friendly city and very, wheelchair and handicap friendly.
You know, I love you, Melba, for so many reasons, but it's so great to hear somebody from New York actually say, and you know what? You got to wait a minute. Because you got to
wait till the wheelchair go, baby. You can't go.
You do have to wait a minute.
And everybody knows that, too, and they don't have a problem with it. Or the seats in the front, like for the handicap or the elderly. Yeah. And I've seen some people, too, especially maybe some young men that I would say, oh, gee, well, where's your manners and stuff? Okay, you need to be old school. But I also see people, they're looking to see, do you need some help? Or would you like the seat? They don't wait until you come say, I'm a handicap. You don't have to make them get up. We're very thoughtful people.
That's New York. What is your favorite smell or taste in New York City?
Oh, to pass by all the good restaurants. Oh!
And what drink best reflects New York?
A drink? Yeah. Probably a Coke.
Yeah, girl. I think so, too. What song, this is a good one for you, what song or type of music best reflects New York City?
Definitely R&B and dance music. I think the new dance music is wonderful. I mean, it may be, what do they call it, kindergarten But what it is, it's made for young people, which should be simple. All they're supposed to do is have fun right now. They're not supposed to be deep, okay? But the beats are beautiful. The harmonies are beautiful. The hooks are very repetitive. But they're meant for you to learn them and chant along and do your workout with. I think the new dance music is very, very, very good. I'm kind of concerned about some of the images that we're creating, that it's okay to get all involved with drugs and everything, but I can't blame them for that. Our generation did that, and we have to say we're sorry for that and try to set a better example. But the arts, I think, are developing. People complain about American Idol and all that, but those people don't just get up there and win a contest. They are groomed. I wish we had that back in my day.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's my favorite question for you, Melba. If heaven were New York City, what would God say to a visitor when they arrived at the Purlie gates?
Leave your cigarettes outside, honey.
Okay, I've done a lot of these cues, and can I say that is, without a doubt, the best answer to that question.
That's the only problem I have. People sometimes who are smokers are so unthinking and uncaring that the streets are crowded, and you're just blowing your smoke on anybody and then throwing your nasty cigarette in the street and, messing up the place.
Oh, Melba, you are such a joy.
I say that as a former smoker, okay?
I got it. Me too. You are such a joy. What is next for you? What's the next move? Where can people see you? Where can I come see you in New York?
Okay, well, I'm sure I'm going to be invited back to the Carlisle.
Which is wonderful. I'll be there.
And I'm going to be at the Colony Hotel in Palm Beach at their Royal Room. I'm going to be at, I think it's called the Catalina in L.A. That's all I can think of right now, but a bunch of things are on the table right now we'll post them on my website as they come up.
Right, so people can go to your website. So when I'm in New York, right now I'm in Sun Valley, Idaho, but when I'm in New York, when I'm in L.A., I can always check and see where you're singing.
Yes, and there'll be lots and lots of performances, praise God.
Indeed. Praise God, I agree. All right, Melba, thank you so much. Before I let you go, I want you to promise me that you'll come back and talk to us.
Absolutely. You're fun.
Oh, no, it's you. All you see is a mirror. All I am is a mirror. You just see yourself, and I thank you so much for this conversation, that you take time enough out of your busy life to visit us at ConciergeQ, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Please remember, you can learn even more about the delightful Melba Moore and her wonderful insider travel tips for New York City on ConciergeQ.com. And then be sure to check out other New York travel cues from Willie Garson, Sex and the City, and USA's White Collar, acclaimed classical pianist Simone Dinnerstein, and pop princess Deborah Gibson. And that is just to name a few right there, up there with our lovely Melba Moore. In addition, you can find out a lot more about Melba at www.melbamoore.com. ConciergeQ invites you to discover more great programming at everydayopera.com. I'm Chantal, and we'll see you next time on ConciergeQ Conversations.